what was it you just said, Josh?
So I said that. Anyway, hello everybody, and welcome to the Horizon Strength podcast. My name is Josh, and with me is my co-host Jack. This is the podcast all about strength and health, getting out there, Oh shit! Sorry, I nearly fell over. Getting out there, adventuring.
You're breaking my chair.
Yeah, I'm breaking Jack's chair. Anyway, after that absolutely terrible intro, hello everybody. How are we doing?
Hi everybody. Hey, Dr. Nick.
Everybody. What I'm going to do before we get started is everybody, if you haven't got one already, go get your nice mug, fill it up with coffee. We've got our EOT ceramics mug here. Some nice coffee. I mean, I haven't got nice coffee, unfortunately, but I imagine you have, Jack.
So speaking of that, honestly, so I forgot to take my flask. So, right, a little preface here. I got myself a coffee machine a couple of years ago now. I've never been a coffee snob, never thought I would be a coffee snob. I just know what I like and what I don't like. Unfortunately, when you get a coffee machine, it happens anyway. I didn't realize. So I forgot to take some of my coffee to the office the other day. So I was like, oh, Josh has got some instant coffee here. I'm going to have some of that. It was fucking grim, man. I couldn't even touch it. I could not drink it. It was disgusting. And I cannot believe how much my taste buds have changed. Like, because seriously, I used to be able to drink it. I used to be able to drink it fine, but I can't even do it. It tastes just weird.
Yeah, it's interesting, actually, because I used to drink a lot of really nice coffee because of where we worked. There was a coffee shop next door, and we used to get real good, like barista coffee every day. But still, at the same time, at home, I only had instant coffee, and I still drank it.
Yeah, same back then. Yeah, but now I guess just because it is the only coffee I drink is like from the bean, and I grind it all myself and everything. It's well, the machine grinds it. I'm not there like a pestle and mortar grinding up coffee beans.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like I didn't realize how much my taste buds had changed, unfortunately. However, you can get stung with prices on this because me and Josh went to a calf the other day. With really great calf. And, what's it called? Beacon Falmouth?
Beacon Coffee.
Beacon Coffee in Falmouth, and they were like, what was the word he used? It's like I said, do you sell any of these beans here? It was this lush, like Ugandan strawberries and cream flavor. Sounds grim, but the strawberries and cream was like a hint. It wasn't like one of those grim flavored ones. And he said, yeah, we sell them in our
Wholesale.
Wholesale, yeah, in our wholesale packs. I was like, oh, bonus. I was like, how much is that? It was like £13.50. I was like, cool, that's fine. It's gonna be a big pack if it's wholesale. I freaking bought it, and it was 300 grams, I think 300 grams for £13.50, which is it's a lot of money for 200 grams. No, 200 grams, just 200 grams of coffee. Wow. It came in this nice box with this nice bag, but I was like, Jesus Christ, wholesale, you are not ripping open one of those bags every time you put in a machine. I know that for damn sure. So yeah, long story short, it can go a little bit expensive.
Have you finished it?
Yeah, I fucking finished in about 10 cups. It was like, it took me hardly any time at all to finish it. That was like a week and a half ago. No, 2 weeks ago we went. So yeah, of course I finished it.
Nice.
Yeah, it was really nice coffee though. I will say it was much nicer as a flat white than it was as a black coffee. Some like lend themselves to a bit of milk more than others, and that was definitely one that lended itself to a bit of milk. Anyway, after my coffee tangent.
Do you know what it is? I think it's more for me is the effort it takes to make it. Like an instant coffee, you just boil water and pour it in a thing. I would probably do an AeroPress, but there's still a bit of effort there. I'm a bit lazy when it comes to being at home and doing stuff. It's more for the morning. I get up and I'm early and I need to get out the door, and I'm like, I'll just make a quick coffee. But maybe I'll get into it. I think the time I will get into like fancy coffee is when we do more like camping trips.
And when we get a sponsor for a coffee bean sponsor for the podcast as well, that'd be a good one. But yeah, 100%. Yeah. So taking I was telling you the other day, my lovely partner Kimberly bought me a Yeti flask for anniversary, and I found out you can get a French press attachment for it as well. So yeah, when we're camping, nice. I'm definitely going to get one of those for it, which would be lovely because I do like a nice freshly ground coffee.
Awesome. So let's get into it. Now, normally we both talk about our training here, but I know, Jack, you're saving yours for next episode. So I'm just going to go into my training and what I'm doing at the moment, because I started a new project. And if anybody follows us on YouTube, may have noticed a couple of weeks ago by the time this episode, last week by the time this episode comes out, that I put up a video on YouTube about a new project that I'm starting with my own training, and that is called the 5 Pillars Project. Named quite simply because it is 5 goals in one. Now, normally we would tell people, and most people would say, don't do 5 goals at once. That's stupid. But I am stupid, so that's what I'm doing. So the plan here with what I'm trying to show, not only to other people, but to myself, prove it to myself, is that with smart programming, you can actually do multiple things at once, but you have to be smart about what you pick. So, for instance, my 5 goals are I need to lose 15 to 20 kilos of body weight. I need to get stronger. I want to recover from injuries. And as I spoke about before on the podcast, I have currently got quite bad knees. So recover that. The way I'm measuring that is by doing if I can do a pistol squat and if I can run and jump. I know I've got that. I want to get more flexible. By get more flexible, I mean I want to do the splits. I want to do the old Van Damme, and
Yeah,
that's
between 2 lorries.
between 2 lorries. We're gonna get 2 lorries in, and I'm gonna Van Damme in between.
I
And
tell you what will get the
last,
most views on social media is if you do it over Kimberly's donkeys. That will get the most
my
views on
God,
social
do you think they'll?
media.
Do you think they'll do it?
You just speak to Kimberly about that. I'm not too sure, but
She'd be up for it. She'd be up
we'll
for
have
it.
a chat.
And then the last goal is to become more mentally resilient. So I figured I'd just talk about that a little bit. Before I go into that, do you have any thoughts, Jack, about doing 5 goals in one?
So yeah, of course I do. Um, so the main thing I think is that we speak all the time about having a baseline of certain things, right? So if you're looking at a baseline, at one point that baseline was a goal, and there's more than one baseline. Once you've got your first baseline established, you can then move your baseline around because now essentially all you're doing is setting yourself different baselines and they are new goals. And
Mm-hmm.
because you're doing it intelligently, it is so the wording you've used on the show notes is pillars, and I think that's the same as baseline, right? It is you're
Mm-hmm.
looking at 5 different pillars, and they are just different baselines for different aspects of either mental or physical health and wellness or fitness. So yeah, I think what you're doing is very clever, but to people who might not understand what it is to have a baseline to work up to a goal, it might seem a bit much, but I think I think you've done it really good,
Mm.
really, really good, proper English.
Thank you. Um, so yeah, the way it's going, what's interesting is that they actually don't really impact each other massively. So, for instance, to lose the weight, I need to exercise. Okay, and I'm going to be exercising anyway to try and build up strength and to I'm just going to be moving more. So the exercise is more focused on the building strength and then obviously a bit of aesthetics afterwards. But to lose weight, really, all I need to do is just don't eat too much food. So it's controlling the food. That's the weight loss thing. Then for the strength building, actually, what I'm trying to do is get stronger in exercises that will benefit me being lighter. So the chin ups, and I want to get stronger in chin ups and dips. So they will benefit me when I'm lighter. So because I'll be able to do more reps at a lighter weight, and then I probably will add in some weighted ones as well. See if I can then do my previous weight for more reps. So I've tested before. So I did like 4 bodyweight pull ups, sorry, now, and 8 bodyweight dips now. So I want to be able to do more reps, but also I'm going to put back the weight on, not actually physically put it on, but like with a kettlebell and see if I can do more reps. Then the other 2 exercises I want to get stronger in, which this is going to be the hardest thing, I think, is the overhead press and the deadlift. Generally, because obviously you need a bit of body weight does help with lifting those 2 exercises. But at the same time, I've not really been training them that much. So just by the fact that I've not been training them that much, I probably will get stronger, hopefully.
Mm. Yeah, you're like
And I just,
reforcing the newbie gains back in because it's been so you haven't touched in
yeah,
a while. Yeah.
exactly. And also, I just need to manage fatigue. So as long as I'm not going all out with the percentages and I'm not lifting too heavy all the time, I should be fine.
Mm.
The rehabbing, I can't really do anything where I get like a lot of flexion in my knees. So, but the more I improve that, and the rehabbing is quite gentle anyway, the more I'll be able to improve the strength stuff because I can get more flexion in my knees, so I can improve my quad strength and etc. The stretching simple because I'm just going to be doing it at home. What I'm doing with the stretching is I'm tacking it on to another habit. So at home in the evening, I'm just going to be stretching while I'm watching TV with the wife, or something along those lines. So that's going to be quite easy to do, and I'm tight as shit at the moment, so it's not going to take long to get more. Obviously, doing the splints is going to be quite hard, but I don't think it'll take too long. If you watch the video, I'm far away, but not massively far away from the splits. And then the mental and resilience thing I'm doing is I've actually, this is the one thing that I've outsourced. I'm not doing myself. Well, I am doing it myself, but I've essentially signed up to the Waking Up app. I'm obviously not sponsored by Waking Up at all. I just heard some good things about it. And what I'm doing is in the morning before work, before I eat my breakfast, I'm just doing the meditation through that. And then throughout the day, what I'm trying to do is whenever I want to go on my phone, or you get drawn to go on your phone, I do one of the educational courses on the app instead and listen to some philosophy ed talks or other talks about sort of stuff. So getting a bit of education in whilst meditating daily. So that's good.
That's really cool. It's funny you've got the splits on there. So we spoke about this when we ran the last podcast. If I was to say to you, I really hope you get the right answer on this. If I was to say to you, if there's one class that you wish your parents had put you through when you were younger, what would that have been?
Class.
Yeah, like a physical class.
Yeah, well, I think we spoke a while that it would be gymnastics.
Yeah, exactly
Yeah.
that. So I was speaking to one of my clients who's two kids. One's 11, I think one's 8 or something like that. They've been doing gymnastics both for 5 years and 3 or 4
Mm-hmm.
years. So they're really high level. Like they're ridiculously, they're as almost as good as you can get for that kind of age group. And one of the things that they have to do from their coaches that their coaches are getting them to do at the moment is go from left leg forward front splits to box splits to right foot forward front splits without their hands touching the floor. They've just got to transition between, and she said, "Oh yeah, no, they can both do them." And I'm like, I wish somehow I could let them appreciate what this level of skill is going to do for them in later life because it is
Mm-hmm.
so good. Parents, if you're listening to this and you've got the opportunity to send your kids to gymnastics, honestly, it's hard to get anything better to establish a good base of physical health and fitness than that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, being mobile like that is just brilliant. Being able to move your body however you want. And
Mm,
you'll see that we say mobile, not flexible quite a lot. And it's more about not just being super loose, it's also being able to just move your body in that way. So those kids, they are super flexible, but they're able to move their limbs to that position rather than passively put them, you know,
mm.
which there's a lot of difference there.
I
And
see. That's a
that's,
section we've got coming up in a bit, isn't it? So I won't. Well,
yeah.
unless you want to segue into that now. But yeah, I know we've got other stuff to talk about first. But yeah, yeah, is it? But remind me because it's funny
Hmm.
we've already mentioned him. But Van Damme, he is a really good example of that. So we'll talk about that when it comes to the
Yeah, yeah,
mobility thing. I reckon that'd be good.
for sure. Now, adventure wise, unfortunately, me and you haven't managed to go on much of an adventure just because we've been busy, and I've been away on holiday. I've been to Centre Parks, mate. I tell you what, I was dreading it. I actually had a well good time.
There's an AI video going around at the moment. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's basically called British Holidays, and it's like
Hmm.
the opening of it is people being interviewed, and there's a guy wearing a really offensive T-shirt, like as British as you like, and he's like, "Oh no, that's it." No, the presenter goes, "We're speaking about British holidays today, and this is Bob. Bob has spent as much money all-inclusive 5-star trip to Turkey, but instead he's gone to some woods in Devon. I was
It's,
like, yeah,
my God.
pretty much.
I tell you what, that's the thing with Center Parks is we spent a lot of money, and we didn't even pay for the holiday, right? So I just put that out there. So we didn't pay for the holiday, but I still spent a lot of money. And with the money that I spent, you could easily go abroad. Like is so me myself, I wouldn't pay to go to Center Parks because I know I can just go to a country I've never been to before, and it'd be quite nice. But I will say it was super. What's nice about it is it gave you a glimpse of a life that you would love to live because you are literally in the woods. You're in a little. The chalet was 4 bedrooms, like big enough. Like I'd happily live in that normally, and it's like 1 floor in the woods, and you just it's wonderful. You just want like that's. I'd love to live in a woods like that. You know what I mean? I mean, it was super active, but I will say to anybody, if you want to take a break but want to explore, don't go to Centre Parks because you'll spend all your money.
So, and that's the thing, right? Because if you put the cost aside, then Center
Mhm.
Parks is pretty much covers everything we talk about
Yeah.
as at Horizon, like the idea of having these mini adventures on your doorstep, go out and do all these things. I mean, that is like the quintessential way of doing it.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, whereas we try to promote free stuff, they're not free. But yeah, it's I
Yeah.
would love. I've always liked the idea of it. I've just never been on one, to be honest.
I mean, it's great, and there is literally everything. And what I will say is, it was the last week of the summer holidays, so you would think like it would feel like mega rammed, but because it's
Mm,
so big, it doesn't feel horrendously rammed. I think it's like 200 acres or something like that, so it's huge. But there's obviously a lot of people there, but you didn't feel like you couldn't get to anything or couldn't get anywhere because it was so busy. So it was quite good.
that's cool. What did you do there? Like,
So we did
thingy
your
wise.
classic high ropes, like Go Ape, you know. We did that. We did aqua park, so you know where you got the inflatables on the water, and me and my brother-in-law basically just fought each other the whole time on that.
Nice.
Literally just
Perfect.
that was it. Yeah, he as soon as we got on, he turned to me. I was like, "You ready?" I was like, "Yeah."
Let's go.
Yeah. And then badminton, we went to the pancake house, so I ate loads of pancakes.
Oh my god, what did you have
Um,
on him?
so me and Rachel shared a savory one and then a dessert one. So I had a savory meat feast pancake, which was
Oh my god.
phenomenal, and then a dessert pancake that was just full of God knows what. I don't know. I didn't even taste it. Sweet stuff, I'm terrible for. I don't know if you're like this, but I don't taste sweet stuff. I think because I eat it so fast,
Just
I
inhale it.
just it just goes, and I'm like, I can't remember what it was. So, but yeah, the
That's
meat feast
crazy.
one
I'm
was
like the
nice.
opposite of it. So I'm the guy that will always use a teaspoon to eat a dessert with, and I like try to like just have a little bit and
You're
then
like
just taste it
Rachel.
one at a time. Honestly,
Mm.
I like it. Like we have goos sometimes. I'm sure everyone knows what
Hmm.
a goo pot is. Kimberly will look at me sometimes. She's like, "How are you still eating yours?" And she's like, "Smashed hers." I'm like, I like take a little bit off all the edges. I eat it quite
No, I can't do that.
daintily sometimes. But I'm the
Yeah.
opposite with like savory food. I'm probably the opposite. I smash fast food, like savory food. So
What else did we do? We went swimming like pretty much every day, and they have a river rapids that goes around the
that's
outside.
cool.
And what I quite like about it is the only takeaway I give to people for this is a lot of people go to somewhere like Center Parks and act too much like an adult. And we were quite lucky. We had a 9-year-old with us, and she's like wants to do everything. And we just kind of embraced our like inner child, and like the river
Mm,
rapids, we were like racing around it, like trying to. Me and Rach went around and went, "How many people can we overtake till we get to the other side?" You know, it was a
nice.
lot of that, and it just embraced the kid and just went for it, and it made it
Mm,
just really really fun. So
yeah.
I think if you're going to somewhere like that and you just embrace your kid and just like get out there and just do the fun stuff.
Yeah, that's he's not literally saying embrace a kid, by the way. His
No, embrace
yeah,
your
so
inner child,
yeah, there you
you
go.
perverts.
So I don't know if you had the same thing, but do you remember the Centre Parks adverts when you were younger? I
Hmm.
always used to think Centre Parks were in this massive Truman Show type dome because,
Oh
like the
yeah.
Eden Project, because in the adverts they would have like they show these big dome biosphere things, which I don't actually know what they are.
Hmm.
But yeah, so which one did you go to? Whereabouts in the country were you?
Longleat.
Nice. That's good.
Yeah,
That's good.
so
There's
it's quite
good
nice.
zoo in
Yeah.
Longleat. Oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. That's cool. Yeah, I haven't really done anything adventure wise. I don't think since you've been away. Have I done anything? Just gone out for some big walks and hikes. Although I will say it's not adventure based, but in terms of my training, there is one thing I can share, which is kind of adventurous for me, because we actually talked about this on the first episode about training for covering big distances.
Mm.
Um, so I probably will go into more detail about how I done it next week, but I managed to do my 10K. Um, and I done it on a trail run, like through two lakes and the woodland and stuff like that. So that was really nice. And I got it underneath. I got my 10K underneath an hour and my 5K underneath half an hour, which is what I was aiming for. So that was really freaking cool.
Great.
And it's made me want to do some more adventure-based stuff where I'm perhaps covering vast distances with just my body. So yeah.
Nice, mate. And are you going to tell people how long it took you to improve that 10K? Or
Um, well, yeah, I will. I'll share more next week, but it took me 4 weeks to.
that's impressive.
I knocked a total of 37 minutes off of my 10K in 4 weeks, but a lot of that is pacing. Like a lot of that is understanding what pacing is and stuff like that. So yeah, I was happy with that. And now the next goal is to get it knocked off some more. So.
Awesome. What I
Mm.
will say about your running is you might have a rival soon. You don't know about it, but one of my clients
Yeah.
one of my clients, Sam, I met him yesterday because I was writing his plan because he's doing a high rocks plan, so we wrote it together. And he went, "Yeah, I looked at Jack's 5K time, and I can do better than him." And he's got to run a 10. I don't know where he ran it,
That makes a
but
massive difference. So
he ran
okay,
5K in 24.
you run a 5K. Just let him know that my best is 21:05 for me, and then
Yeah,
I'll
he's
yeah,
running. He's running a 10K this week,
nice.
so I'll
Okay,
tell you how
okay,
he's
okay.
doing.
Right, that's it. We're on.
Yeah, just so you know, I'm programming and running 3 days a week, so
Yeah, that's
that's
okay. That's fine. That's fine.
yeah. Right, let's move on. Let's get on from the competition. So, what we're going to do for our big rock of the week, we're going to look at mobility this week, and we're just going to talk about our top mobility tips. Now, firstly, I just want to preface to people what we think mobility actually is. Well, you might not agree with me, but this is what I think mobility actually is, and it's not. There's a difference between flexibility and mobility, and we've touched on this recently. The reason I bring this up is over the years of personal training, I've trained quite a lot of people who are super flexible. They were yoga teachers that I've trained that are really, really flexible, but they're not mobile. And what that means is maybe they could do the splits or touch their toes and all of this sort of stuff, but they couldn't perform a bodyweight squat because they weren't strong enough. Some people, they may be able to passively put their body into flexible positions. And what that means is I could maybe pick my leg up to a certain height, but I couldn't lift my leg on its own to a certain height. So that's the difference between passive and active. And mobility is when you can actively move in a way. So where you could, and also potentially doing it under load as well. So you could do a full body weight squat rather than just a relaxed fall into position. So we're going to look at today how we can best improve our mobility or our best tips for mobility. Do you have anything to add to that, Jack, about mobility?
No, it's exactly what you say. So I've always the way I've always described it as mobility is control for a range of motion versus
Mm-hmm.
just being able to have that range of motion in the first place. So that's why I brought up Van Damme. For anyone who is younger than I don't know Josh, to be fair, you might not know who Van Damme is, but he was very famous for being able to basically do a kick where he would do the splits standing up, and he could control every millimeter of lifting his foot right up above his head in the sky. He didn't have to fling his leg up. So if you were to stand up, please don't do this if you're over 40 because you will pull something. But if you were to stand up right now and kick as high as you can, that is probably your flexible range. But then if you were to stand up and then just gradually raise your leg as high as it can, that is your mobility. That is your range of motion through mobility. And that's a massive, massive difference for a lot of people, what you can do, flexibility versus mobility.
Yeah, exactly. I used to be able to kick myself on the head. I can't do it anymore, but
like a midget. Well, hey, the wee man used to do it all the time.
Okay, so moving on swiftly. My first tip for living a mobile life. Is living a mobile life. So being more mobile. Oh, Jesus Christ, you just messed me up here. My first tip for becoming more mobile is living a mobile life. Now, what does that mean? At home, you go to pick something up out of the bottom cupboard in the kitchen. Instead of just bending over and like holding onto the cupboard and grabbing something, pop into a squat and grab it. Taking 2 steps at a time on the stairs instead of one. All these sorts of things can help you live a more mobile life. When you're sat at home on the sofa, instead of just crunched up and getting super tight, you could also stretch at the same time. What are you laughing at? Brilliant. So that's what I would suggest is, first and foremost, that's going to create more mobility than anything else. Because if you're just stretching, if you're just doing mobility drills or stretching or whatnot, like for say 30, 40 minutes a week, which is probably realistic, you're combating then the rest of the time in that week where you're stiff and you're not really moving, especially if you sit at a desk and especially if you drive a lot. I've trained a lot of clients who did a lot of driving and they were super, super tight. So adding in mobility just into your general lifestyle is going to
Yeah, yeah. With the driving, it hits you in places where you might not think as well. A lot of people do get the rounded shoulders from driving, but one of the biggest problems I see for people who drive a lot is the clutch foot if they don't drive an automatic, and it just really messes with their hip and their ankle and their knee subsequently. Yeah, one of the guiding principles I give to everybody when it comes to mobility is little and often is better than one big session a week. So instead of just dedicating 45 minutes once a week to it, get 10 minutes a day in, and that is going to actually
yeah.
do you way better than trying to hit everything all just one day a week.
Yeah, for sure. And also changing up. If you spend a lot of time in one specific position, like sat at a desk, trying to change that time up as much as possible. Can you do a bit of standing? Can you move around a bit more? Can you even change the position you're sitting in? There's a lot of chairs now where you can be like kneeling, sitting, mixing it up a bit. So that's really, really going to help. But that's my first tip for living becoming more mobile. It's just to live a bit more of a mobile life. Try to find opportunities where you're putting yourself into a deep squat or a stretch whilst you're moving around, rather than picking the easy route out.
Yeah, I'm actually going to give a shout out to a third party as well, like you've done earlier on with the mental resilience app. I use Pliability, and with Pliability, you can pick whatever problem areas you have of your body, or if you don't know, you can actually do an assessment if you've got an iPhone, and or you can just do a full body one. And I do the full body 7 days a week, and it's anywhere between 9 and 15 minutes. Just takes my whole body through just like for a new range of motion. Some of it is passive, a lot of it is active. You can pick what the blend is. So I'm stretching muscles out, but then I'm also at some other point I will be actively taking them for a range of motion as well. And it really helps highlight what is wrong in the first place, because if you just try and stretch, you'll stretch what you try and think is tight. And Josh, I'm sure you've seen this as well. One thing that clients don't understand sometimes is what is tight and what's not, and how to stretch it. So usually the people I see stretching their hamstrings have already got really long hamstrings. They don't actually need to stretch them. They're stretching them because they're tight and long, not tight and short. And the amount of people I see arching their back, thinking they're stretching their back, where actually they're compressing the muscles as well. So having someone or something take you through something where you're actually working through the mobile range of these muscles is going to help massively.
Yeah, for sure. It is good to get some instruction initially so you know what you're doing. And a lot of the times when we get somebody doing some form of stretch or mobility exercise, people go, I can't really feel the muscle I'm meant to be feeling or whatnot. Then we come in and go, oh, all you need to do is like tilt this way a little bit. And then, oh, right, yeah, no, I've got it now. So sometimes a lot of people will just go, oh, I can't do that stretch. It doesn't work for me. It's probably just because they're doing it wrong rather than anything else.
Never take for granted the body's capacity for being able to compensate for things, because it will take the easiest route to do something it can without realizing, and that's we're biased towards making our life easier.
Yeah, and also never underestimate your capacity for not being good at something the first time you're doing it.
Yeah, definitely. Jesus. Yeah, I remember like trying a yoga video once, and then I went to a yoga session, and the amount of adjustments she made straight away, and I was like, yeah, that's like 10 times harder.
Yoga is brutal. Like it's actually really hard. So my next tip is active stretching. Now, active stretching over passive stretching. So the standard stretching that most people do is they'll just sit down and like reach for a muscle. Like say you're stretching your hamstring, you're sat on the floor and you're reaching for your toes, and they would just try and relax into that position for as long as possible. That's okay. It does something, but it would be good to add in some form of active stretching. And this is where what you could bring in for this is a technique called PNF stretching. Now, if you haven't heard of PNF stretching, it's a form where you stretch for a little bit and then you push into that stretch for say like 10 seconds and then relax. That's one way of doing it. So a classic one you'll see is people lying on their back with their leg up and somebody's pushing their leg straight, and they'll hold the stretch relaxed and then they'll push into the person and then they'll relax. That's a form of PNF stretching. I did just Google what PNF stands for, and it stands for proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation. So just in case anybody's asking.
There's a mouthful. Yeah,
It
I
is a
use
mouthful.
so you don't have a lot of the stuff you'll see will show partner work, but even just a wrapped up towel will be able to help you do a
Yeah.
lot of these things as well, or your own hands.
Or a
I do a
belt.
bit of PNF stretching with my clients, especially on their necks. You've got to be careful with the neck, but just simply grabbing the chin and then pushing back into it and then relaxing it off, you'll find you can just get your neck a lot looser. And yeah, this actually one thing that was on my list. Is really weird you're speaking about this now. It's on my list this week to look into studies about PNF stretching, because I don't fully understand all the science and the mechanisms behind it. So I wanted to look into it this week.
Yeah, it's something that I've used a lot with people, and I found works better than just passive stretching for like releasing things off as well. If somebody's like really, I found if somebody's got like their lower back starting to switch on, I might do some PNF stretching on their glutes, and then all of a sudden their lower back eases off a bit, because it activates the glutes a little bit as well. And also, if you've like piriformis is pretty tight, then it helps with that. So yeah, PNF stretching, a great little idea. You could probably YouTube some PNF stretches pretty easy if you're looking for some. I would suggest doing that. So yeah, doing that over passive stretching, I think that's better than passive stretching. My next tip for mobility is the ultimate mobility tip, and there isn't much better way of increasing your mobility other than doing exercises till their full range of motion.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
no
100%.
quarter squats, no quarter deadlifts, no quarter bench presses, like full range of motion reps. And that's gonna, just doing that all the time will keep you more mobile.
Yeah. So one of the biggest problems that can come from all of a sudden starting stretching. Let's say you are doing a squat and you can't squat full depth, and you get to 100 kilos in that squat. Now, let's say you start a stretching routine And in that stretching routine, you then gain a range of motion that is way deeper into that squat. Now, let's say the following day you try to squat that 100 kilos again into that new range, you are probably going to hurt yourself a little bit because that new range hasn't got the strength to handle that 100 kilos yet. So, if you actually start teaching yourself from the get go how to do a full range of motion, and weight's going to help you in this because they can help get you into that full range of motion as long as you're careful with it. If you just start off doing that, going for that full range of motion, then you're just gonna naturally have it. That is, see a kettle. You're naturally gonna get that range of motion. So Josh said earlier on he's going to get me talking about something on a monologue so he can make a coffee. But yeah, and this counts of anything. One of the things that always comes into my head when I think of a full range of motion that is going to give you that's an exercise that gives you a great range of motion is a dumbbell pullover or a barbell pullover, whatever kind
Mm.
of pullover, where you're lying on a bench, you're holding a dumbbell and you just let it come all the way back, but you don't ever let it go slack behind you because that's where danger can kick in. And you just do a full range of motion. That's probably a really good way to illustrate it if you're in a gym. That's a good way to explain a range of motion.
It's interesting, actually. I've just put dumbbell pullovers into my program for that reason, to improve my upper back mobility. A good little tip for that for people if they want to do it for improving upper back mobility is to do it like
Crossways.
across the bench. You know, instead of doing it lying on the bench normally, go like fucking perpendicular to the bench and do it. Is that the right word? And
Yeah.
then drop your hips as well as extending your back, and that will really accentuate the stretch. Yeah, I completely agree. You've got to be careful as well. This is one thing I say to people is with mobility stuff, especially before doing like a heavy weight session. Yes, we want to do full range of motion stuff, but try not to do any static stretches prior to training, especially like heavy weights, for that reason of if everything's super loose, your muscles don't react as quick. And then you can go into ranges of motion that you're not used to and then injure yourself. So stick with your normal range of motion, and that will increase over time as you start getting more mobile and start getting better. If you can't do a full bodyweight squat, which we get a lot of people when they first come into training, people who train regularly might not understand this, but the general public as a whole, not everybody can do a full bodyweight squat, and they'll come in and maybe only be able to do a quarter squat. So if you can't do a full range of motion movement like that, like a basic squat, then I would suggest instead of focusing on going super, super heavy to start with, focus on getting the full range of motion first and then building your strength up slowly. That's going to be more beneficial to you rather than going, right, I'm going to do a 100-kilo quarter squat, like you said, and then trying to up the range of motion. So, yeah.
There's different schools of thought of this as well. I'm very much on the same idea as you here. Some people will prioritize intensity over everything. This is something I speak to myself about with quite a lot as well. So when I first started training, before I have all the knowledge I have now, I wonder if I would have got. And this, by the way, is not permission for people to go out and fucking hurt themselves. But I wonder if going through an intense period right at the beginning, and this is just me thinking out loud, by the way, so don't read anything into this. It's just a nice conversation starter. But going full on, oh, how strong can I get in a short amount of time? And then when you realize that, oh, actually, so I've got this strength, but maybe I'm not working in that full range. I am curious to know which one would yield faster results. And that's completely different conversation because the average population should not be doing that or pursuing that path. But I'm a big believer that sometimes to understand what we're trying to do, we need to have a baseline of what stuff feels like in the first place. So a lot of people might not know that they haven't got a full depth squat. They might think they're squat. How many times have you spoken to a client and said, "Oh, was that deep enough?" You're like, "No." They don't. Some people just don't know. So it's sometimes interesting. You don't know what you don't know, and sometimes you need to know what everything else feels like before you can start to learn that stuff. But yeah, to clarify, I'm on the same opinion as you. I think everyone should learn range first because it will just give them a healthier, happier body.
I think on your point though, when you're talking about starting out and intensity, I think it all depends on how old you are. So, for instance, if you started training when you were like in your late teens or early 20s, actually, you could probably get away with being super intense because one,
Mm,
your recovery is going to be better. Two, you're probably going to be able to hit range of motion anyway because you haven't got the tightness of life hit you yet, you know? So you're probably there is a good time to start really hitting the intensity. If you're around our age, like 30 plus, and you've not trained before and you're just starting training, that's probably not a good time to go all
no,
out on strength because your
no.
body's tight as shit and you don't know how to move and you're more prone to injury now. So in your early 20s, late teens, yeah, go for it, send it. 30 plus, let be smart about this, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I would much rather see people dial things back into a full range than
Mhm.
absolutely push it until. And again, I think this is going to be a recurring theme. We talked about this last episode with something else. I can't remember what it was, but earning the right to be able to do something like once you get strong enough and you want to try a 1 rep max, you should be able to do that to full mobility. But if you've got it all under control, maybe you've earned the right to just do a really heavy half rep. In fact, there are cases to be made for actually programming a half squat really heavy into a program. But we won't go into that now. But yeah, it's you've kind of got to earn it in my eyes to be able to start playing with stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And the right to. So I'm doing. So I'm like partway through Australian Strength Coach's powerlifting programming course, and he says this. He says that so he has technique breakdowns for all the exercises, and he says to everybody who comes into him that you need to earn the right to put weight on the bar. So if
Mm-hmm.
you don't like everybody would think because he's a powerlifting coach and all his people like bench 200 kilos and do all this crazy stuff and he trains Hatful Bjornsson that it's all just like spit and sawdust, just lift heavy all the time. But he's the exact opposite. It's he has strict technique parameters and rules, and you need to earn the right to add weight to the bar. And if you cannot squat the way he wants you to squat, then you're not putting a weight in the bar until you've earned the right to squat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Which is
And it's a risk benefit ratio, isn't it? So
mm-hmm.
if you're not doing something properly, the risk goes up the heavier you get. So yeah, definitely.
Right. Have you got any tips, Jack, for mobility? I've gone over my bits there, but do you have anything you want to add? Doesn't matter
I
if not.
I think the main one, and it might just be worth reiterating, is don't try to get all your mobility in one day. Try to. I'd rather you do it. Either like the tip I give to people is 5 minutes in the morning and 5 minutes in the evening would be absolutely ideal.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever you can fit 5 to 10 minutes, 15 minutes is obviously great. Just do it. Just do some stuff. And to echo what you said, Josh, there was an old Tony Robbins quote where he used to call it net time, which was no extra time. So do stuff where it's stacking habits, essentially. When you're watching
Yeah.
TV, just get on the floor and roll around. Something you said, Josh, when we used to do our old podcast was normalize rolling around on the floor. You're actually talking about at work, which I still reckon
Mm.
is a really good tip. But even at home, like get down. If you've got kids or dogs, then get down on the floor of your
Yeah.
dogs. Like learn how to be comfortable on the floor, moving around. If you haven't got kids or dogs, just get down on the floor and wrestle with yourself. No one's going to be
Mm-hmm.
there to call you weird. And just get used to. We're not the human body has not evolved to be sitting in the seats like we are right now,
Mm.
looking at screens all day. So just fucking move
Yeah. Get
and
on. Yeah.
move in ways that you feel like that doesn't feel very comfortable to me. Move in as long as you're not hurting yourself. Move in ways like that, and that's a good idea.
Yeah. Exactly. Brilliant. Right. Let's move on. Let's going into our real talk segment now. And my topic for real talk today is supplement, drugs, and superfoods are bullshit. It's the fuck's the point? I think supplement, drugs, and superfood are bullshit. And I will explain why. If your goal is to get healthier, to put muscle on, to get stronger, to lose body fat, supplement drugs and superfood. Sorry, my hat's messing with me. Supplement drugs and superfood, where they may help a small percentage, actually do not matter. Do not matter. And I brought this up because obviously we have the massive wave of weight loss drugs that are going around at the moment. And there's also, we constantly get questions about supplements and specific types of foods, so superfoods that people talk about. The big one year back in the day was, remember the goji berry hype? That was one.
Kale.
Yeah. The problem with all of these things, and the drugs we'll talk about after this because that's the different kettle of fish altogether, but specifically with the supplements and superfoods, the percentage difference that they make is minimal in comparison to the only thing that matters, which is exercising regularly, sleeping well, eating a moderate, wide variety of diet, and reducing your stress. Those are going to have a bigger impact than supplements and eating a specific superfood. I think they're bullshit.
Yeah, and I mean, they have their place, so don't get me wrong. If you're prioritizing macros and you're struggling to get your protein in, yeah, have a protein shake, but it's not the be all and end all. You don't have to go crazy over this brand of protein shake. Pretty much the only one I blanket recommend to everybody is creatine, and that's it. And that's just because it's the most researched and it's got other benefits that are cognitive as well. It's surprising how far people will what is the popular video meme thing that goes around is the things middle-aged white women will do to avoid lifting weights. It's that sort of mentality. It is basically just looking at things that people do to avoid doing the real thing. Okay, and it's like perfecting the supplements or perfecting the superfoods when all you really have to do, and I'm going to get into this a lot in the next episode, by the way, when all you have to do is just get out and do something.
Yeah, exactly. And do you know what brought this on? Actually, this morning I was watching a video, and there's a guy called Zach Talander. I've sent you a few of his videos before, and he just likes ripping on people. He had a massive spat with functional patterns.
Is he the guy that rips on Hormozy as well? Is that him?
Yeah. But he reacted to a video like coffee enemas are becoming a big thing
again.
People are just shoving coffee up the bum and saying it's really good for their, like, removing toxins from your liver, which this constant liver toxin thing always blows my mind because that's literally what the liver does.
Yeah.
And also, when you ask people what a toxin is, nobody knows. You know, so it's just gets on my tits. But it's people, like you said, people will do some weird ass stuff to be healthier, like suntan their bum holes, when actually people for some reason who just don't want to exercise. Like that's all you need to do, and then eat healthy. Like it's just the problem I have with it, and I think we spoke about before about organic food as well. And this is sometimes I think organic food's great. However, the majority of people that are unhealthy are unfortunately very poor. And then you're telling people that are very poor that not only do they need to buy food that's at a higher price, they need to buy supplements from somewhere that they don't have the money for. And they also need to buy superfoods, which are also at a higher price because they're called superfoods. When actually the things that they can do to improve their health the most, that's going to have the more major effect, doesn't cost anything. And instead, they're focusing on the things that they can't afford. And because they can't afford it and they can't do it, they end up going off the rails with the other stuff. So that's why I think it's bullshit, because it's dangerous. It's not actually beneficial. But it's not sexy, is it, to exercise regularly? So
we used to talk about the big levers. And when it comes to the minutiae of the difference that superfoods versus normal food will make, or the difference that supplements will make versus normal food as well. Uh, and it's going to also, we could go like well into the weeds with the differences you make, but the key thing is seriously fucking identify. I keep on swearing a lot in this episode. I'll try and dial it back.
Yes,
But seriously identify that. Seriously identify what the biggest levers to pull in your life are. They are not going to be choosing organic kale versus non-organic kale. That is not a big lever to pull. The biggest lever is, am I getting enough whole foods in my diet versus junk food? The biggest lever is, oh, should I tweak this rep just a little bit according to this video? No, you should just do the rep in the first place. And that's like, it's not about building the perfect program. It's about getting out there, doing what works for you. It is pulling the biggest levers that are going to make the biggest shift.
And this is the difference between just being a normal person trying to live your life and being a professional athlete. If you're trying to be a pro athlete who wants to be the best in the world, then you need to start focusing on the minutiae after you've got the big blocks done, right? Then you need to start focusing on all these different supplements that may give you that 0.1% advantage because everybody else is doing it. But you're not an athlete. So just eat healthy and exercise. This is I know I sound like I'm being a dick right now, but it just gets on my tits. And the one thing I do now is, especially with foods, is quite often people, because of the job we are in, people will go, oh, this food, like we'll be eating a specific food. Maybe it's beetroot, for instance. This happened recently. And people go, oh, beetroot's really healthy, right? And I go, yeah, it's all right. Because they expect me to go, yeah, beetroot's this amazing thing that's good for you. Like, yes, it's good for you. And yes, there is some impact for your heart and your blood pressure and all of this sort of stuff. Yes, great, eat it, but don't just eat beetroot all the time. You know,
and also don't expect it to be the magic thing that changes everything. What's really going to help your blood pressure and everything else is doing your cardio and doing your exercise, doing your workouts. Like that's going to make you so much better, and eating just in general better food. I think if our listeners are anything like us, they value their time. Don't waste your time picking out the small little pebbles. Focus on the big freaking rocks that you can shift, and that's just gonna make you so much healthier. People underestimate what the changes are they can make if they just focus on the big things versus the little things, because usually the big things require more effort, but in the long and the short term, they're going to yield way more results than trying to find the finicky cheat code that is just going to be bollocks.
It's the stuff that future you is going to thank you for, right?
Yeah.
That's yeah. So sorry for ranting a little bit, but oh, and we haven't talked about the drugs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So the Zempics, Manjaros of the world. The problem I have with those, and I don't have as much of a problem, I don't think, with those as I do with the supplements and stuff. For people who really need them, is really, really important. So people who are severely obese, diabetic, etc., is really, really important. For the people that are not and taking it anyway, congratulations, you're most likely going to be on them for life. You know, that's like, so if you want to spend the substantial amount of money doing that, that's great. But you're still avoiding the core problem, which is the healthy lifestyle. And actually, you probably didn't need it because you're not. There's a lot of people I have seen who will take that sort of stuff and they didn't need it because they're not actually overweight. The problem is their relationship with their own body, unfortunately, which is a sad thing. So maybe address that. Which is yeah.
So I'm basically going to say the same thing I just said about supplements and everything else. People who are using it as a cheat code need to stop. You need to, if you're going to use it, you need to do all the other stuff right as well. It's there as a crutch for people who really do struggle with weight issues and their mental health in respect to food. So eating disorders and stuff like that. On the when it comes to those things, that is when it has its place, but you have to be doing the other stuff with it. It cannot just be relied on to do that by itself, because people are just seeing it as like, oh, wow, take this drug, get skinny, not looking at what happens. You're still going to face exactly the same problems that you do if you were to get skinny without training. In other ways, you're going to get a lot of muscle wastage, which, by the way, is going to mess up your body long term even more. So don't use it as a cheat code. Use it as a supplement. Essentially, use it as a supplement way with all the other healthy, active lifestyle things you should be doing.
Yeah. So that's my rant over. Anyway, let's move on. So we're going to do our. This is a section where we talk about one of our clients. And the client I'm going to shout out today is the very lady who made this cup. Emily, I trained her Wednesday and she's jacked. My God. People who don't know Emily, she is a very petite, probably weighs about 50 kilos, and is jacked. And every session is curious and really goes for it. And there's quite a physical job. So absolutely smashes it. Trains 3 days a week and is currently working towards a lot of calisthenic style goals. But she can do weighted pull-ups now, no problem, which is really, really impressive. And doesn't realize how jacked she actually is. So I thought I'd give her a little shout out to my client, Emily. So yeah, there you go.
She's the type of person, if you see wearing like she's I would describe her style as, I hope this isn't offensive, it shouldn't be, like bohemian kind of thing. So she's always wearing like baggy jumpers and jeans and stuff, and you would never think. I walk into the gym sometimes, I see the pictures you post where she's just training in her gym gear, and it's like you would never guess how jacked and strong this girl is. She is like, yeah, she's really pushing the boundaries of it, and yeah, she's kicking butt, and she makes really, really good cups as well. So yeah, fair play to her. I just wanted to tack something else onto this little section. Sorry, if you finished speaking about Emily, or was there anything else? I thought it'd be a good idea that if one of us is shouting out our client, the other person could shout out something else that we've come across. I wanted to shout out a creator, and I cannot remember what his name is now. I bet it's going to come up straight away. His it's only because I just thought of this a second ago. But he's this Australian. I think I've sent you a couple of his reels, and he does. So I did say I wasn't going to swear anymore, but he does a series called Fuck or Suck, and he tests. He is great. Matt White, I think it is, or something White, is an Australian guy, and so my missus, Kimberly, she finds the Australian accent very attractive, and she likes a certain physique on the guy as well. And I have just not sent her any of his stuff because I know full well she's going to fancy the pants off of him.
She listens to this though, right?
Yeah, she listens to this, but no. But my missus is also obsessed with mayonnaise, and he made a mayonnaise the other, which in his words, 100% fucks and doesn't suck. So Kimberly loving mayonnaise, I decided to send that video to her, and she was like, and I said to her, I was like, I didn't want to send you this because I know you're going to fancy the pants off of this guy. And she's like, what guy? I only saw the mayo. And then 10 minutes later, I was like, those veins on his arms are ridiculous. I was like, God damn it, she is hooked. But yeah, I wanted to give a shout out to him because all of these like recipes that you see on the on reels and stuff like that, he'll try them out, he'll make them, and I think his tagline is, "I won't just make them. I'll give you ways to make them higher in protein, higher in fiber, and lower in calories." And he does a really good job. He's entertaining, and yeah, he's fun with his videos, and his recipes look banging as well. So yeah, I wanted to give him a shout out. What have you found his name?
Yeah, he's called Matt West.
Oh, Matt West, not Matt White. Okay, yeah. So Matt West, real good guy, like with the stuff he puts out, and he must be getting more popular recently because his content is starting to like really pick up. So yeah, definitely have a look out for him.
Yeah, I've watched a few of his, and he does. I like the look of it. I like the food because I do a lot of that as well, where I just eat I find viral recipes and just make it and eat it. But I've never done what he's done, where he's like rated it and done all that stuff, and it's really cool. And it does make it look tasty as well, so it makes me want to eat more nice food.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, we're going into our adventure ready section now, and I've got a problem to pose to you, Jack, and I want to see how resourceful you're going to be. So, my question for you, Jack, is you're lost in a mountain range, middle of a mountain range, say the middle of the Rocky Mountains, there's nothing nowhere nearby in
Middle of the
terms of a
Rockies.
village.
Okay, that was a question
Yeah,
I was going to ask you. Okay,
middle of the
that's cool.
Rockies, no village nearby. What do you do?
I use the SOS safety feature on my phone to call in some backup, and I find some shelter.
You're boring as shit.
So yeah, give me some more context. Give me situational like context here.
Okay.
Not how I
So
got there,
where are
but like
you?
where am I and what have I got with me?
Okay. I would say a survival pack, a pack that you can come up with, that you can make now out of the stuff that
Hmm.
you have in your house. So not one of you don't you're not allowed to buy anything. You are in a forest on the mountain range, so you have access to trees. You haven't. There will be water nearby, but you've got to find it. But also, there's wild animals that can eat you, and you have to survive for. You're going to have to walk maybe 200 kilometers to the nearest town.
Well, the advice that everybody gives is make shelter, stay put until you get found. So that is literally that is the unsexiest, but that is what the survival advice is when you're stuck anywhere. So I would
Mm-hmm.
build shelter. Um, I would make sure the water's good. I would forage for food, and I would just light a big ass fire that got a lot of smoke on the go, so people would know where to find me as well. And that's a really boring answer, but it's the best way to survive. So shelter would be
Mm-hmm.
priority. Shelter and water would be priority. Food would be very close second on that list, and then yeah, lighting a fire for warmth and for signaling.
There you go. Happy days done. That was it. I didn't really have much else for that one.
What would you
That was
do?
that. What would I do? I mean, probably the same thing because that sounds really smart.
So
Yeah.
the only reason I was able to come up with that answer so quick, because just for preface, I didn't know what this was going to be until literally we started recording. The only way I know that is because I was been watching Bear Grylls recently, and that's exactly what he said. It's like what we're doing here when I'm with these people trying to get them from A to B. That is not what you should do in this scenario. You should find shelter, stay put, and wait to be rescued. And I was like, okay,
Mm.
that's cool. But let's say that it was the apocalypse and you knew you weren't going to be rescued, then it would be a very different thing. So then you would have to like find food and hike to somewhere, unless you were just happy living in the forest for the rest of your life because the world's gone to shit anyway. So
Well, that's the big question, isn't it? I think I'd be quite happy just bloody staying where I was in the
yeah,
as long
that's
as I
it.
knew there was enough food and water around. I probably
Hmm.
wouldn't bother going anywhere. The only thing I
uh,
would need to do, what you probably would need to do, I was thinking about this, is like, unless you're really good at foraging and hunting, you might want to go to a shop to get a lot of seeds
mm,
so you
that's a good
can
point.
create your own little veg patch,
Yeah.
in the woods.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a good point. So funny you should say that. I was walking Mars yesterday, and I was walking past all these hedges, and there was like the blackberries were all out, and I was like, oh god, yeah, they look quite nice. And well, actually, no, I wasn't. No, sorry, some of them look quite nice, but a lot of them are drying out already. I think we're going to have a second batch this year. And I was looking at all the other berries, and I was like, I wonder how hungry I would have to be to work out if these were poisonous or not, because I actually don't know with some of them.
Mm.
So it's like, when do you get to that point where you start to try new shit? That's the one thing that's always fascinated me about human evolution with food. At some point, people have worked out what mushrooms do to you, and some people are going to have had some freaking crazy stories to tell or died along the way of,
Yeah,
of that
and I
discovery. So
think
yeah,
quite a lot of them will kill you as well, won't they? In terms of mushrooms, it's pretty dangerous.
yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know. I'd love to do like a proper foraging, like what you can and can't eat, like
Mm.
course, and figure that out.
Yeah, and they do
And
quite a
then,
few down here as well. They do. The
mm,
interesting thing about Cornwall is our coastline as well. So there's two types of foraging courses that I've seen down here. One is like the normal like woodland and field and something like that. But there's also quite a few coastal foraging courses down here, and that is
mhm.
something I would quite like to do.
Yeah, and also
Pretty
like
much any
seasonal.
seaweed is edible.
Yeah,
Mm.
seaweed is gross though, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know if you like what's the seaweed that you roll up sushi in. You know, that's nice. Just dry it out a little bit.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Mm.
Dry it out, and then it's just crispy, isn't it? And you just
Yeah,
put it all over your
crispy seaweed.
fries. Yeah, sweet. Well, there you go. So we're at the section now where every session, every podcast, we make sure that we give you something to go home with. We think it's really important that you have something that you can do within 24 hours to make a difference to your life. And our challenge to you for this next 24 hours is to do some mobility. We've talked about that a lot today, and we've gave you a lot of different options. But I would suggest maybe do some form of passive stretching. Find a YouTube video with some mobility on, or download
Passive
an
or
app like
active?
active. Sorry, active
Active.
stretching. Sorry, I didn't mean passive. Ignore me. So do some active stretching. Find a mobility video. Do some PNF stretching. Maybe download the Pliability app. Whatever it is that you want to do, go do some yoga. That's fine. But I reckon we want you to do something in the next 24 hours towards your mobility.
Yeah, and if you want a really quick tip for that, the Pliability app, I'm pretty sure, has a 7-day free trial. Do it for 7 days, work out which ones feel the most beneficial to you. Then you don't even have to subscribe to the app. Just repeat those until you get good at them. But yeah, that's good. And hopefully, guys, last week you went out and worked out a purpose for your training and your health and fitness journey as well. That's what the 24-hour challenge was last week. So yeah, if you haven't done that, do that as well. But no, that was good. I enjoyed that.
Sweet. So we'll see you in 2 weeks. But before then, follow me at Horizon Coach Josh on Instagram and TikTok. Follow Jack at whatever it is. What's yours, Jack?
Jack at Horizon Strength.
Yeah. Jack at Horizon Strength on the same, and on YouTube with a Horizon Strength Collective. If you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anything like that, like us, subscribe, leave a review. It really helps us get out there. We're going to want to bring on guests in the future. We want to take on your questions. So if you have any questions, ask below and we will answer them in the podcast. We want to make this as valuable to you as possible. So yeah, crack on.